All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all the praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace and safety and much blessings to all the Akim that's pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth and all truth and sincerity and diligence. Shalom. All right, man, I just want to get into, the scattered Israelites, you know. And I'm just saying that on the tip of just because the word scattered is only connected to the nation of Israel, because in the Bible it was to be what a curse that the Lord put it upon his people because of disobedience. Right? This is Deuteronomy 28:15. It says, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So these are curses that was going to befall the nation of Israel, which it did. Okay. And one of these curses, verse 64, it says what? "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone." So the Lord said he was going to scatter us among all people, from one end of the earth even to the other. So when you read Ezekiel, and I love to pull the scripture because it fits. This is Ezekiel 5:5. It says, "Thus says Yahweh, this is Jerusalem. We are people before a place. I have set it in the midst of the nations and countries that are round about her." So we are among the nation of Israel has been among the heathen nations, right? And have dwelled in their lands and did what? You know, took on their customs, took on their tongues, even took on their appearances, because when you read Nehemiah 13 and let's see, is it 13? Let's see, let's try 12. Damn, I'm tripping. Let's see, Mary, let's see, no, Mary, it's not even it. Let's see, I know it's in Nehemiah. No, I'm not tripping. There it is, bam. This is Nehemiah 13:23. It says, "In those days also saw I Jews that had married wives of Ashdod and Ammon and of Moab." So our people did what? They mingled with the other nations, had sex with the other nations, and what? Had children. See, and their children spake half the speech of Ashdod and could not speak the Jews' language, but according to the language of each people. So our people were scattered among the heathens, dealing like the heathens, looking like the heathens, and taking on the customs. So therefore, what, man? And then they're learning what the customs of these heathens, and what, uh, putting off their customs as a people. You know, some grew up not even knowing that they were Israelites, man. Okay. And it speaks about that in the book of Maccabees, what during the Hellenization period, man. And that's what we all were. We were Gentiles carried away off into dumb idols, man. All right, but nevertheless, we were scattered. The point I'm making, that we were scattered and we dealt with the other nations, all right, and became as heathens. You see, because it's always the word scattered is always connected to the Israelites. This is Esther 3:8. It says, and Haman said unto King Xerxes, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed. That word dispersed, right? Diaspora, right? That's connected to who? The Israelites. Among the people in all provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king proper to suffer them. So, the point is that what? We are scattered people and the dispersed people, right? Throughout the four corners of the earth, you know? And we was never gathered back by the Lord, man. All right, because the Lord said He's gonna take with His stretched out arm and bring us back to the land of Israel. So the gathering of the gathering of the nation of Israel, in this proper order, being put back in His land has not happened yet. So we are still scattered and dispersed among the heathens. So because down here in Lafayette, you have a lot of Israelites that look like Edomites. I'm telling you. Oh man, through the spirit, bro. You got a lot of Israelites that look like Edomites down here, man. Okay? So check this out. Just more proof that we're scattered throughout the four corners. This is Acts 2 and 5. It says, and there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So you had Jews out of every nation. Why? Because we were scattered abroad. And why were they even there? Because you read Deuteronomy the 16th chapter, right? It says now when this was because it was permitted for Israelite men, right, to go back to Jerusalem to worship, man, 3 times a year. And that's part of our customs. It says now when this was no so like when this was noised abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, behold, are not these which speak Galileans? So, these these people that were speaking what? Hebrew, man. All right. They did well. I say they wasn't speaking Hebrew, but I'm saying they spoke Hebrew. So they was amazed the fact that these men speak Hebrew. How are they speaking our language? Right? Verse 8 it says, and how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? You see? But Parthians and Medes and Elamites and the dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea, Cappadocia, and Pontus, and Asia, Phrygia, Pamphylia, if I'm saying that right, in Egypt, and in the parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, you know, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our tongues the wonderful works of the Most High. Okay, so what they were speaking, in different in their languages, man, to where they could understand. Right? And that's why they was amazed. But the point is that they were Jews, devout men out of every nation, and they just listed the nations where they were from. Jews, Israelites, because that's exactly who the Bible is written to. That's who Apostle Paul office was to, the Gentiles, which would be the Israelite foreigners. Okay. And then you got Christians that like to bring this out, but hey, Apostle Paul ministry wasn't even established yet. You know, You see, so we're scattered people. We're scattered people, and the word "scattered" is always tied to the Israelites, man. And you can find different accounts in the scriptures, like even later on in this book, Acts the 8th chapter, 8 and 27. It says, "And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, right, a heathen nation, right, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of Ethiopians, who had charge of all her treasures and had come to Jerusalem for to worship." Right? So he come to Jerusalem to worship, which makes him what? An Israelite. And he was what? Dwelling in the land of Ethiopia, because we are a scattered people. So whenever you hear brothers, speak, preaching, the word of the Most High, is not to all nations. It's to what? The Israelites and the Israelite foreigners that's looking like the heathens. Apostle Paul, same thing. He was preaching to Israelite foreigners, okay, which people know as the Gentiles, but in the scriptures, well, they don't know them as Gentiles, but they believe that when they say Gentiles, they're talking about the heathens. No, there's two type of different Gentiles, man. You can go to John. Oh shit, John. Yeah, no, it's not. It should be like that. John 7:35. It says, "Then said the Jews among themselves, Whither will he go that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed?" Right? Dispersed. Let's check that word out. Go into the dispersed. Diaspora, right? It says a scattering, dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, of the Christians scattered abroad among the Gentiles. You see? So look, it says, will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Right? NLT, the Jewish leaders were puzzled by the statement. Where is he planning to go? They asked. Is he thinking of leaving the country, going to the Jews in other lands? Maybe he will even teach the Greeks. You see? In the NIV, and Jews said unto another, where does this man intend to go that we cannot find him? Will he go where our people live scattered among the Greeks and teach the Greeks? Right? And you can't get caught up on the word Greek, man, because it says Timothy. Timothy father was a Greek, right? That is Acts. He was just calling himself a Greek, man, right? Because he adopted their customs, man. Okay, look, matter of fact, Salakia. This is Acts 16:1. It says, then he came to Derbe in Lystra, and behold, a certain disciple was there named Timotheus, the son of a certain woman, which was a Jewish, right? Jewish. They knew that they weren't supposed to be dealing with no other nation outside the nation of Israel. And she believed, but his father was a Greek. All right, let's go into that word Greek. Helen, right? Helen. You got to look up the definition of Helen, right? It's to be Hellenized. A definition of Helen, an example of being Hellenized is, say you got a family, that lives in Asia. And matter of fact, this is a true story because this guy at my workplace, he this is what he said. He said, we're from Asia, right? My mom and dad from Asia, but they moved out here before I was born and had me, and he was raised in what he called the B. So I look, this dude straight up Israelite. He an Israelite, and he looked like a motherfucking Asian, a Moabite, right? That's what he looked like. But when bro, if brothers was to talk to this cat, man, this cat is a straight up Israelite, right? But he just looked like an Asian. You see, so an example of being Hellenized is you being taken from your country where you have different practices, different tongues, different. When I say different tongues, like you speak the language that they speak in that land, right? The different foods and all of that. That's what y'all have over there. But you come to America and you learn hamburgers and hot dogs and Christmas and goddamn uh, 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 adultery. You learn all of that here in America, man. So you being Hellenized. That's what that's going into. But you got to understand the blue letters sometimes go off. So you got to take the meat from the bones, man. It says a Greek either by nationality, whether a native of the mainland or of the Greek islands or colonies. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not the Jews that made the language and customs and the learning of the Greeks their own. Primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship. which is not true because you had I call him the big homie Tiberius, Alexander Tiberius, I believe. He, matter of fact, I might just have to look it up because we go into this, we go into this, and it's just like it's just for edification. Here he is. Alexander Tiberius, that is right there. Right. It says Tiberius Julius Alexander was an exquisition, extra, excretarian governor and general in the Roman Empire. Born into a wealthy Jewish family of Alexandria, but abandoning or neglecting the Jewish religion. I'm not saying Jewish, they just this is how they wrote it, but there's no such thing as Jewish religion. He rose to become second pure procurator of Judea under Claudius. So this guy right here was an Israelite, but he left off the customs as an Israelite to do what? To be in the Roman army, man. To be a general in the Roman army. So, right, you can't say that the let's go back. That's an example of Hellenization, man. Right, what we just read. You see, and Alexandria Julie. Wait, Alexandria. Saying his name right. Tiberius Julius Alexander, right? He was an Israelite, all right, but he left off his customs to do what? In the Roman army, and that's an example right there. Okay, so let's go to Isaiah. When Yahweh Shah returns, what you think he's gonna do? He's going to gather what his elect from where? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant the second time, right? Because this is going to be the second. This is Exodus 2.0. The remnant of his people that returned back to the Most High God and served him and put off the world and call upon the names of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua in the land of captivity, which shall be left from Assyria, heathen lands, right? And from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the isles of the sea. Huh? And he shall set an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Who is that word dispersed connected to? Let's see. It says not this right here. This is in the Hebrew, right? But look, it says napas, right? But when you go down to right here, it says to scatter, disperse, to be scattered, dispersed, right? Who is dispersed? The nation of Israel, because it was a curse. Okay? So we're a scattered people, man. And our people is what taking on the customs of the heathens, man. All right. And I quoted it earlier, so I'm gonna just go get it. Um, It says, this is First Corinthians 12:1. It says, now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles, carried away off into these dumb idols, even as you were led. So you were Gentiles. Where? In the mind. You see what I'm saying? Because you can't just wake up one day and, oh, I'm a Moabite today. Or I'm a Chinese man. I'm a Chinaman today. Oh, I'm an Arabian today. Nah, man. Your DNA is your DNA, man. All right, but so what? Our people was Gentiles in the mind. You see, carried away to these dumb idols. All right, let's go to, and I'm gonna close right here with this. This is Tobit 13:3. It says, "Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them." Right? He scattered us among them, among the Gentiles. And in the scriptures, I said I was going to close, but Oh yeah, I did show in John 7 you got two type of Gentiles, right? But also, to get more thorough, you got Matthew 10 and 20. Let's see. Is it 21? Or is it 12? Let's try 12. Matthew 12. Bam. It says, and in his name shall the Gentiles trust. Right? Now, let's go to Matthew 10, 10 and 5. It says, these 12 Yahweh shall send forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles and into any city of Samaritans, enter ye not. So you got two type of Gentiles. You got Gentiles that's going to trust in the Lord's name, and you got Gentiles that the Lord say don't deal with, you know? So we scattered among the Gentiles, man. That's why Apostle Paul, he was writing all these letters, in Ephesus and Colossians, and Philippians, you know what I mean? All these different places, man, because you had Israelites all in those different lands, just like Yahweh Shah. He went all the way down to Zidon. You see what I'm saying? Phoenicia. You see? Like the Syro-Phoenician woman. She was an Israelite. The woman at the well, she was a heathen, you know? So we scattered amongst the heathen, man. Our people is the only people that word dispersed and scattered is connected to. It's just like Esau Edom. The word red is only connected to him, man. Okay? So with that, man, Lord willing, you're edified. I'm going to say shalom.